I want to speak for a moment about one of the pieces that we will work with the kids on early on in the process once they become a part of Choice Point. It's not an easy part. It's going to take some practice. It's got to take place over a period of time so that they take ownership of this, but it's called the communications piece. For those of you that are looking at this today and wondering whether or not you have a shot at athletics at the next level, whatever that might be, I think the biggest part that you have to think about is not whether or not you're the kind of athlete or whether you can perform well in your sport. Clearly, the coach isn't even talking to you unless you're already on their radar screen. But when you sit down with that coach and you talk about what it is that coach is going to be offering you, most of the time the kids tell us that it's all information taken in and that when they walked away they had a million questions. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to do it. There's a lot of questions. So we've prepared something here today that talks about how a kid might talk to a coach. Now, one person sitting here, so I'm going to do one side of this conversation, but I want you to just imagine, for those of you that have participated with colleges in the recruitment process, and for those of you that even haven't, understanding that this is where you're probably going to want to end up. Item number one, talking to a coach, came to the event, let's say the night before, has a half hour scheduled with mom and dad and kid to talk about whether or not they're a great fit for their college. Imagine the kid saying this: Coach, I appreciate you taking some time to come over and watch me play last night. I hope you liked what you saw. I have a little bit more in me than that, but had a reasonably good night. But Coach, today, you and I were designed to sit down and talk for about 30 minutes today. And in doing that, I just want to make sure that in the 30 minutes that you've given me that we accomplish as much as we possibly can. So with your permission, I'd like to think that maybe I could ask you a few questions about what it is your college brings to the table for me, both academically and athletically, of course. And Coach, you're obviously going to have some questions for me. Feel free to ask me anything you'd like. I'll do the best I can to answer them today. But Coach, I know that by talking to me, you're talking to hundreds of other kids that could potentially take the same slot you're thinking of me for. So Coach, can we do this? By the end of our meeting today, if you should think that I'm probably not the person that you want to take to the next level, all I want from you is I'm just not the next best person for you. That makes me move on, lets me look for my best opportunity. Now, it might be, Coach, that obviously, things do go well today and that I am the person you want to look for. And if that's the case, then before you leave, let's make sure we get a very, very clear future with one another on who's going to do what for whom and by when. Because, Coach, by the end of this process, if either one of us walk out of here not knowing where we stand, that's certainly no way for you and I to begin our relationship. Now, folks, imagine that dialogue taking place with a college coach. Let me tell you what we found out. A coach talks about athletic ability for athletic ability. And they would sooner take a kid with lesser athletic ability that has the maturity and the ability to communicate at that level. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they are bringing a value to their program. And today, for anybody who's watching this, any coach on the planet will tell you what they're really looking for right now, today, every day, is a kid that is not going to be a risk to their program.